Hi everyone, I welcome you to the class of business to business marketing and we will continue from the last unit where we had stopped. So, in the last class we were discussing about the various techniques that are that marketers use to develop new products. So, we discussed about certain methods like the voice of quality, the quality functional deployment method. We talked about the Ishikawa diagram or the fishbone diagram, value analysis, reverse engineering. So, these are some methods we talked about, right. So, today we will also discuss about what is customer value and why this is very important for a marketer to understand. Because you see the difference between a B2B and a B2C market is very clear, right. The B2C market is a very kind of a customer who buys in small quantities, maybe, and they are large in number. But the B2B client is a one who buys maybe less in number, but the volume, the revenue size could be very high, right. And the characteristics are certainly different, there is no doubt about it. So, the customer value, when we talk about customer value, how does the customer what consists of the customer value, right, and why it is important. One thing that we have learned that the B2B customers are very educated, technically sound, rational customers, and they are not affected by any impulsive behavior. So, what they do is basically they try to understand how the product would be helpful to them in their production process, or in their overall marketing, right. So, and how that benefits their customers. So, understanding of this thing is very important from the customer's point of view. So, how does the customer value the product? So, let us see. So, customer value, it represents the business customer's overall assessment of a relationship with a supplier. Now, based on the perception of benefits and the sacrifices made. Now, what benefit the customer is getting and at what cost, the difference between these two, right. So, value is equal to benefit minus cost. Now, if this value is positive, then the customer is obviously a delighted customer, happy customer. So, he is a happy customer, but if the value is negative, right, then the customer is a dissatisfied customer. And we know that in the business market, right, B2B market, getting a customer is a is a long process, is a tough task, and it does not happen very frequently. So, here a lot of inquiry happens and negotiation happens, and finally the customer comes on board, right. And if anything wrong happens for some reason and the customer is lost, then getting the customer back again or getting a new customer is a very costly affair. So, marketers need to be extremely careful in understanding that what is the benefit the customer is getting and at what cost. So, what are the costs they are paying, right? Because we want to create a long term relationship with the customer, so that is basically he is like a repeat customer to us, right, and we get most of our businesses from that customer. So, until unless he is happy and delighted, we do not get that. So, as I said, customer value depends on the benefits. For example, what are the core values, the core benefits that the customer gets because of using the product from the seller. So, if the seller is selling a particular product, and what benefit is the customer getting? Now, let us say the seller is selling let us say a machine, right, and this machine is purchased by a let us say textile manufacturer. Now, how is this textile manufacturer using this product, and how what kind of designs he is able to develop or make with the help of this machine, and that will add to his happiness. Okay. So, what are the core benefits and what are the add on benefits, right. So, we will see, and on top of that, what sacrifices does he make? For example, what is the price that he pays, what is the acquisition cost, and what are the maintenance operation costs that he has to bear. So, all this taken together, if this benefit outweighs the sacrifice, then the customer would feel happy. Okay. Now, the question is, when we are talking about the products, right. So, as I said, the core benefits could be something like the product makes, but there can be add on benefits like, for example, sometimes the because of the high quality of the product, or let us say the ability of the product to make better designs, strong products, that creates a better brand image for the product, for the for this product. So, that is an extra benefit. For example, when I say I am using, let us say, Siemens products, or when I am saying I am using ABB products, or when I am saying I am using Tata Steel products. So, I feel that that brand also is becomes a part of me, right. Now, this not only gives me a factor of trust, right, because brand, obviously a good product and a good brand always is a kind of a is a delivery of trust. Okay. So, these are the benefits that the customer is getting. So, in terms of warranty, maintenance, good let us say services, and that the trust factor is there, and enhanced quality is there. So, all these are the benefits that the customer is getting. Okay. Now, what product differentiation can a marketer do? So, when you talk about a product in a B2B product, how can you differentiate? Because you see, if you do not differentiate, then we have already understood that you may be forgotten easily. So, every company, because there are hundreds, thousands and lakhs of products coming up in the market, right, in a span in different time periods. So, how would you create a differentiation in your product? If you do not create the differentiation, then people, there is no reason for people to remember you, right. So, when I am saying differentiation, so it could be in terms of the product form, right. So, it the kind of the design of the product, the form of the product. So, what is the the appearance, the everything, right. Customization, right, performance, conformance, durability, reliability, repairability and style. So, if you points on basis of which a marketer or a seller can differentiate its products in against its competitors products, are, for example, creating a better variety or better customized product which has high performance. So, a company can differentiate that our product performs 30% more than our competitors product. For example, I am just saying this is a way of differentiating, right. And they say that we conform to all the quality standards, it meets all the requirements. So, you can use it for there is no problem, there is no issue linked to it. Similarly, durability, we are our products are strong, and the strength of the product, the reliability of the product, so that the that B2B obviously is a complex item, and it has a lot of it depends, there is a long chain of effects, it has a long chain of effects. That means what I mean to say, when you talk about a B2B product, generally, for example, let us take a a machine used in an assembly line. Now, if a machine is used in an assembly line, right, and there are, let us say, there are 4 steps the machine has to go through. Now, if any step, at any step the machine does not function, right, then what will happen, there will be a blockage of products, or there is a stoppage of working, right. The entire machinery will come to a halt, all the raw material, resource, the people, they will stop working. So, all this can create a chain of effect, and that will lead to a significant loss to the company. So, companies can create product differentiation. For example, when I say Honda engine, right. So, when I say Honda engine, Honda has created a differentiation in the market through its engine efficiency. Now, when I say Honda itself is good enough to for people to say, oh, this is a very reliable, highly good performing machine, right. So, companies can create that. Some companies give you different kinds of shapes and sizes. They say we are very flexible. Now, that can be another way of differentiating. So, differentiation in any way, right, in any of these way, a company can create differentiation, right. It can be more than this, but these are some few which I have listed down, and it is important because that separates you from your competitors. In terms of service also, the companies can differentiate, and as we know that in B2B products especially, service is a very important component, right. Service is a very important component for any reason, as I said in the in the previous slide. if for any reason a machinery does not work or does not function, then it is possible that all the other dependent, all the machines depend, all the processes dependent on this particular machine will come to a halt, and once it comes to a halt, then the whole work stops, right. So, because of this, a service becomes a very important factor. So, any company would like to buy only from a trusted manufacturer, right. They are less worried about, let us say, the price, because what they feel is the total cost should always be less. That means what? If maybe I buy at a price which is today, let us say P1, which is less, then let us say P1 is less, okay, than P2, but here the cost of maintenance, service and all is much higher. Let us say the maintenance cost M1 is much higher, is sorry is I want to much higher than, let us say, M2. Now, let us say P1 M1, P1 plus M1 is again higher than P2 M2, P2 plus M2. So, obviously the company would go for this case, right. So, one thing is it has less maintenance, so automatically there will be less of headache and the processes will not stop and the overall cost is less. Now, when you talk about creating differentiation in the service, which is again, as I said, is a very important component, what important points can be considered? How easily you can order the product, right? How will you receive the product, the delivery is, because you see the B2B products can be very complicated and their installation, some hand holding is required, because one might not understand how it is operating. For example, certain softwares or let us say certain machines, it is not so easy to install. Somebody might not be in a position to easily use it. So, help is required, right, installation support is required, and therefore, marketers have certain people, their sales team or their trained technical team who help the buyers in the installation and the smooth functioning of the product. Customer training is required, which the marketer or the seller has to give, then consulting, maintenance and repair, and if there is any problem, then how it can be returned, so that reverse logistic issue can be solved, right. So, using this, using these techniques, some of these techniques are all or a few, a B2B marketer can create a differentiation in the market in terms of its service also. Okay. Now, let us understand, okay, you have done everything fine till now, right, you created a good product, you created a differentiation. Now, when we talked about why products fail, we saw that one of the reasons for the product fail was, if you do not launch your product well, then also you might not get success in the market, right. So, how do you successfully launch the product, right? So, first of all, when you talk about launching a product, like for example, when you look at the Apple displays or Apple launches, when Apple launches its product, right, how smartly it launches and how it creates a buzz in the market, how it makes people running for its the Apple products. So, people love to buy Apple. So, that buzz that is created in the market, right, is very important. But yeah, obviously you cannot create a buzz for all products and it is not required, because the B2B product is not made for everyone, right. Only the B2B has its own target customers, and it has to be, the buzz has to be created among the target customers, not people like you and me, may not be. So, how do you do that? So, to create a good product launch, you need a plan first. Now, this you must have seen earlier also, we have discussed. So, a SMART plan. Now, what is a SMART? Specific, measurable, actionable, this is relevant and time based. So, a specific plan, you need to be very specific in your plan. It should be measurable, that means what you are trying to achieve, that should be known to you. Actionable, you can really take an action, you can work upon it. Relevant, what you are talking is relevant, right, and it has to be within a time frame, right, time based. So, first of all, you need to create a plan when you want to launch a product. Now, it is a, let us say any kind of machine, a B2B software, a B2B equipment, industrial equipment, whatever you talk about, right. You need to first have a plan. Now, many companies what they did, they do is they do not have a plan, and that is why they suffer because of it. For example, let us say now a company wants to launch, right, a product in the market. Now let us say there is a seasonal effect to the product, right, and if there is a seasonal effect to the product and you are not able to launch it in the right time, you have not planned accordingly and you launched it maybe in the off season, automatically the demand for the product would be less, there might be no demand. So, and the product and then the carrying effect, the cost and all will increase for the company. So, this can be very dangerous. So, first thing is create a plan and then understand your buyer well. Now, this is very important because when you are launching a B2B product and we know that there is a buying center and there is a decision making unit and the people who are involved in this and who are the most influential in the decision making process, you need to understand them well. Who is your buyer? So, there is this word, the word that is used is called buyer persona, buyer persona. So, trying to create the a buyer persona where you talk about who, what is the age of the person, what is his background, what was his previous experience, has he ever used our product or not, having a complete knowledge about the buyer who is responsible in buying our product, right, in the seller's product. Third point is which I have mentioned is read the competition well. So, who are your competitors in the market? If you do not understand them well and you just want to launch your product, it will give you a complete shock, right. In 2011, HP released the touchpad, a tablet device which they had positioned to be an iPad killer. So, they wanted to kill the reduce the Apple market. So, Apple iPad. So, and they wanted to win over it. So, they had a huge demand from the retail organizations, retail giants, right. But in 2 months time after the launch, they realized that people were not ready to accept in comparison to the when the Apple was there, they went for the Apple and they did not buy the HP touchpad. So, as a result what happened, the product, a large amount of product was returned to the HP stores by these retail giants, retail organizations. So, what was the lesson here? The lesson was that HP did not read its competitor Apple well. Had they done it, they would not have been in a haste, or they would have maybe changed their strategy, gone into those markets where Apple maybe had a little less followership, right. And after that maybe they could have launched, but they directly went into a attack mode which backfired. Create the right sales model. So, how do you want to, what is your channel you want to use, direct channel through a wholesaler, or maybe you want to create a long chain of a distribution. What is your sales channel you want to use? Then comes creating a buzz in the market. Now, nowadays as you have seen and I have explained many a times, B2B market, there is a lot of utility or utilization of social media, right. So, with the use of social media, it is easier for us to reach to our target customers, and thus by reaching to these target customers we can create a buzz before the product is launched, and this buzz can create can give us an idea how are the people, the potential buyers responding to this communication buzz. Okay. And finally is the last step, which is the launch the communication program. So, how you want to communicate, what you want to communicate to your target customer, that has to be clearly launched. So, these are the 6 steps which every marketer should be very careful while before that product launch, right, because once the product launch then they cannot take it back, it is not so easy, and if they have to do then that is only a loss for them. So, this is a model which I have taken from one of the source, so which is mentioned below. So, how do you validate your B2B go to market plan? Now, this go to market plan has certain components, if you can see. The marketer, the seller has to understand what are we selling, who are we selling it to, right, why do our prospect even need this. So, they should answer before everything the launch and even much prior to that. Where can we reach these customers? where are our target customers available, right? How do we go to this market? So, suppose you want to go to a new market, new country, maybe you have to follow certain international policies, the guidelines that has to be checked beforehand. When should we reach or when should we launch? What is the right time? So, if you can answer these questions, then automatically the selling process becomes much easier and the launch of the product becomes successful. Okay. With this, I will take you across through a case study which you can learn how about this product launch, how it happens, and try to answer this, the following questions which are attached to the case. So, this is a case about, a company which is launching a new product. So, as I have mentioned, the case is about a company manufacturing pumps, water pumps. Okay. So, what is happening out here is that the story is something like this, the case summary is that there is a gentleman called Vipul, who is the head of the company. Now, he has seen a water pump, which does not overheat quickly, or there is no fear of any leakage of coolants, which is generally the issue with water pumps. And he wants to launch this product in the March month 2022, right. So, let us say this year. What he has thought is that we need to target this pump initially to the big farmers, right, because this is slightly high priced, and we will target to the big farmers, and as the volume of production goes up and the cost will come down, then they will target to the smaller farmers. Now, there is one guy who is the marketing manager, his name is Manish. Manish has recently joined the company from a leading management institute, and he is heading the marketing. Now, Vipul had got this idea from a trade fair in Germany, right. When he had visited Germany in 2020, he had gone to the trade show, and in trade shows companies come and they display their products, right. So, he saw the water pump for the first time, and he thought it was worth due to the unique design and the features which I said. So, he liked the pump and he brought this, he gave an order for the pump. Now, what happened? Once the order was received, the production team had to make some final arrangement. That means, once the product came to the let us say warehouse in India. Now, there was few more steps which had to be done at the production by the production team, so that the complete pump is then finally made. Okay. Manish, who was the marketing head, had 8 months to plan and implement the marketing strategies for the new pump. Okay. In the first week of March, Manish was disappointed to know that the production of the new pump would be delayed by 3 months. Now, why it would be delayed? What happened? So, the launch was postponed to mid July 2022, right. So, which was almost the end of the summer season. So, there was some issue, so which they because of which they realized that it could not be launched before July. So, they had to take those corrective actions and complete those processes, and then only they can launch it in July. The shipment started, and during the last week of July, when the shipment to the customers started. So, the products were dispatched to the customers, the large farmers and all. In no time, they started receiving complaints regarding the suction mechanism from several customers. So, Manish stopped the dispatches. He checked the pumps and found that there was serious defect in the suction mechanism, right. Okay. He immediately contacted the head of the company, the CEO Vipul, right, and requested him to arrange a meeting with the production head, who is Anik. In the meeting with the production head and CEO, Manish said that he would not like to sell the new product because of the defects. Until the defects were rectified, he would not sell the product. Vipul agreed to stop the selling, right, the new pump. Now, from here we have a few questions. So, the first question of the case is, which stages or steps of the new product development process were not followed properly by the company? So, or do you feel there was an issue with the new product development process, because it is a new product and they had to do some additional steps. So, do you feel there was some problem with that? If you were the CEO, how would you have managed the new product development? Which new product development technique can also be used by the company to solve this problem? So, you have studied certain problems, certain kind of techniques. So, can some of these techniques be utilized here is the question. Okay. So, now let us go to the now from here we will get to the answer. So, before that you try to think of about your own answers, what you would like to and how you would like to answer, and then we will go to my own tentative answers. Okay. Now, the first one, which stages or steps of the new product development process were not followed properly by the company? Now, as the company had bought the prototype and design and did not make it on their own. So, they had ordered right from the German manufacturer. So, we feel that it skipped the first 5 steps. What was that? Now, idea generation. Okay, idea generation is still we can give away, but idea screening, concept development, testing, business analysis and product development, this nothing happened, right, and testing nothing happened, right, of this. So, the company should have gone at least for the market testing, if okay, these are something which have been done by the maybe the German counterpart, but the market testing should have been done before launching the product, right. Then then they could have known the customer complaints, and then maybe in advance they could have either asked the German counterpart to correct it, or if it could have been corrected at their end, they could have done it before at least the commercialization or the dispatching of the products. So, this is the first question. Now, if you were the CEO, how you would have managed? So, as a CEO, the first thing is that I would be worried about whether this product will run in the Indian market or not, right. So, what I would have done is I would have gone for first concept testing. The prototype was bought during a visit to a trade show. So, this is not a sufficient basis to make large investment. So, initially I would not have gone for a very heavy investment, which the company as Vipul had done it, right. The company should have done some concept testing, as it would have helped the company to know if the concept would be accepted by the customers or not, if such kind of concepts are used or not, right. Then they should have gone for a business analysis, at least a break even analysis, right, to find out how much of investment would be done and in what time they would get the returns back. After that, a market testing would surely should have been done to understand the market's reaction, how the customers would react. Maybe some demo sample should have been given to the farmers and maybe tested with them, right. And even the timing of the case was wrong, right. So, the company failed to account for the disruptions in the production process, because they could not sell it in the peak season. The peak season is generally the summer season where the pumps are required, right. So, to pump water, because there is the water table goes down, and now they could not keep that in mind. So, and they could not do according to the time period. So, the summer was almost over, July end. In most of the places in India, in the coastal belts at least, you get rain. So, there is no point of after that, right. So, this was also not considered. So, these were some issues. If I would have been a CEO, maybe I would have looked into it. Which new product development technique can the company use to solve this problem? So, here I have given QFD or the Ishikawa diagram. Now, understanding the voice of the customer, what exactly the customer requires. See, till now we have only seen suction problem. Maybe there could be like the small customers would not be agreeing to buy the product because of its higher price also. So, what exactly is the customer requiring, and Indian conditions and German conditions would be different. So, the pump might not work well in the Indian conditions, right. And it would help me in showing what the quality control issues might come up. The Ishikawa diagram can show that. Outlining the different steps in the process and deciding which resources are required to solve the problem. So, at least using these techniques, I can you may think of some other technique, but I have thought about these two techniques, right. I can easily solve this problem. After this case is over, one thing that you need to understand with B2B market is very important, that is, how does the product, right, move from a product to a solution driven thing. So, if you see what it is saying is, especially B2B products, right. Now, the strategists or the marketers are giving attention to services, right, because they have a solution centric mindset. So, there is no point in giving a product, a high end technology product which the customer will not even understand, right. So, rather than starting with a product, a solution centered approach is very important in the B2B case, right. This is especially important in the B2B case. We are not talking about any other products. So, which will analyze the customer problem and end by identifying the products and services required to solve the problem, right. So, by shifting from a product to a solutions based approach, business to business firms can make some important benefits. Now, they can look at new avenues for growth, create differentiation points, right, and create better customer loyalty, right. Now, here we will see this is a kind of product perspective versus solution perspective. Now, in terms of the few factors, let us see how it differs. In terms of value proposition, in terms when people are more product perspective oriented, right, the companies win by creating innovative products and enriching features of the existing products. But on the other hand, when you are solution driven, right, you win by creating and delivering superior customer solutions, right. Only if you make an innovative product, it might be possible that the customer might not like to use it because of its some complex behavior. Value creation, here the value is created by the firm, but in the solutions perspective this is very important. Value is co-created by the customer and the firm, the buyer and the seller. Okay. Designing offerings, when you have a product perspective, what happens? Start with the product or service and then the and you focus on the target customers. But in the solutions perspective it is reverse. It starts with the customer problem and then assemble the required parts or services or produce them to solve this problem. Okay. What kind of a relationship exists? Here a transaction based relationship, that means it is basically largely on a price, or it is a transaction based. So, what kind of offering we are giving to the buyer and how much he is paying us. But here it is more like a interaction based where, or a partnership based model where the buyer and the seller jointly they decide what should be the product and they develop the product jointly. So, this issue that tomorrow something can land up is not there. Quality, when you talk about quality, the quality of the internal processes and company offerings is basically focused on, and here the quality of the customer firm interactions. So, the quality is looked from all angles, right, not only from the producer's angle, from the customer's angle also, right. So, how would the customer use this product and what kind of quality of what level of quality of products he can make out of it is also checked. Okay. So, this is adapted and this source is given to you. Now, take an example of UPS solutions. Now, if you understand now how UPS solutions moved from a product perspective to a solution based perspective and gained out of it, let us see. UPS began by mastering a narrow set of activities involved in the package delivery system, right. So, what was there? What were they? Picking up, shipping, tracking and delivering the packages. So, they adopted a solution centered package focus. UPS tapped new marketing opportunities and what they gained. So, they designed transportation networks that reduced the time Ford, who was one of the customers, needed to deliver vehicles from its plants to the dealers by up to 40%, right. Managing the movement of national semiconductors products from its manufacturing to customers around the world globally and helping the customer reduce shipping and inventory cost by 15%. So, these are the customers who gained immensely by using a solution driven approach by UPS, right. Partnering with Nike and managing all the back office processes for direct selling from order management and delivery to customer support. So, these are some of the benefits that the customer got, and as a result they got UPS got better business and obviously their revenue increased. Okay. So, with this I will wind up the lecture for today and we will meet in the next lecture. Till then, take care. Thank you.